The Daily O interview series is back. This time we have a dean. It's Dr. Thomas Coon, the dean of the Ferguson College of Agriculture. Dr. Coon, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Brody. It's great to be here.
I just want to start with, you've got an extensive background at different universities, UC Davis, Michigan State, Mizzou, Oklahoma State, maybe even missing some. What sticks out about OSU to you?
Oh, the culture. I'm very fortunate that I've worked at a lot of land-grant universities, and every one of them has been special. I've really grown from each of those experiences. But what attracted me to Oklahoma State and what keeps me here is the relationships with people, the care that people have for the university and for each other, and the way that gets perpetuated by the faculty. I mean, they really are the stars of that story. And so it's a lot of fun to be a part of that, to be able to celebrate that.
I hear a lot, the Ferguson College of Agriculture is one of the best, if not the best, ag school in America. Why?
Well, it goes back to that culture. It starts with the faculty. So, for example, I've talked with alumni from all over the country from the 1950s, 1970s, 1990s, last year. And every one of them remembers a particular faculty member who meant a lot to them. Maybe it was their academic advisor, maybe it was their professor in their introductory course, maybe it was one that they worked with in research, but the faculty really make it the special college that it is, because the students come away from here with practical experience and the policy backgrounds, the theoretical backgrounds and so on that they need to be able to function in the world.
Yeah. We were talking off air about the drought that Oklahoma's in and all these different challenges that farmers face. That's what I understand the extension offices are out there for across the state. That's a century-old tradition. Just give me kind of the blow-by-blow of what an extension office does for someone who doesn't know.
Well, first of all, an extension office, and we have one in every one of Oklahoma's 77 counties, and it is staffed by OSU employees. They're extension educators and then administrative support staff in those counties, and they are there for two reasons. One is to help us understand what are the needs in that county. What do people need help with? If it's a rural county with a lot of agriculture, what crops, what livestock are they growing, and so on, and what information do they need? So right now, what can we do to help them deal with the drought? Whether it's in planning their crops for next year or deciding how much to reduce their cow herd size, those kinds of things. We're there with access to experts who are here on campus. So we have faculty specialists on campus who are available with information, with analysis, with ideas. So one of the things people often say, well, my county extension educator told me I should do this. That's not what they do. What they say is, here are some options to help you deal with the drought, to help you deal with some of these other challenges that you're facing. And here are the pros and cons of each of those. So we're there to help people make the best decisions for them that they can. So by being present in the county, we understand what the needs are, and then we can also identify, so what do we need to be doing about that? What specialists do we need to bring in? What training do we need to offer? What app do we need to develop, for them to be able to use?
So it sounds like it goes both ways. Has that ever created a situation where, like, wow, we missed the ball on that one? Maybe we need to change this kind of research or our philosophy on this?
Well, we're constantly changing what we're working on because the world is changing around us. The markets change, the environment changes, and so on. We're always looking to get better. 4-H is our youth development program through Extension, and that's nationwide. And the motto for 4-H is to make the best better. And that really kind of captures the spirit of what we're about in Extension. We're never satisfied with what we've done. We're always looking for how do we take that experience and make it even better for the next generation, for the next farmer that walks in the door, the next mother that comes in asking questions about their children, whoever it is that we're serving.
So something's about to get a lot better at your school. You're about to get a new building.
Yes.
Lots of steel work already done. What is that going to change for your school?
Well, it's really going to amplify that culture that I talked about. So there are a number of things that we've designed into the building to sort of adapt that culture. One of them is to have public spaces where students can gather or stay in between classes and so on. Currently in the Ag Hall that we have, if you have a gap between a class at 9 o'clock and one at 11 o'clock and you've got time to kill, you're not going to spend it in Ag Hall. Because if you do, you're going to be sitting on the floor of the hallway. There's just no place for that. we're going to have that in the new building, and sort of the centerpiece of that, a lot of different spaces where students can be quiet and study, or perhaps in small groups, but we're also going to have a dairy bar. So while they're going in between classes, they can stop, get a cinnamon roll, a glass of milk, whatever, and have that. And that harkens back to an earlier time when we had a dairy bar in the old dairy barn that was where the Henry Bellman building is currently. And it was a gathering place for students. So we want to have that. We also have developed the classrooms and the teaching laboratories to be very adaptable. And so it may be used for one class 1 hour, another one the next hour. It may be one seating arrangement at this hour and another one the next hour. And really that's a knockoff of the model that the College of Engineering, Architecture, and Technology built into the Endeavor Lab building.
Okay. Big news recently was the strategic plan release. Big thing that stuck out to me was the scholarships that are going to be created by it, or at least the goal.
Yeah.
How is that going to translate to your school? Do you hear, I'm sure you do, students that just maybe can't flat out afford to go to school here?
There's always a challenge. And first of all, let me say Oklahoma State is a really good deal.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Our tuition and fees structure is very competitive. But still, that doesn't mean everyone has the means to get there. And I think, the president is right on target with saying, what can we do to help make sure they aren't leaving with a lot of debt? And right now our students are doing well with that, but we can do better. And so the increased scholarships really help us to make sure that students who might otherwise feel they can't afford to come here can afford to come here.
Yeah.
And so that'll help with the retention, and ultimately it helps us get them through in 4 years, which is better for them, and in all honesty, it's better for us, for our students to finish in 4 years and make room for the next class coming in.
Yeah.
So the scholarships really help there. We currently, in our college, we provide $1.8 million per year in scholarships to students in our college, with about 2,800 undergraduates in our college. So that's grown by $1 million over the last 12 years. That's tremendous, but we need more.
Private fundraising, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. We always hear about the land grant mission. That's something that Dr. Shrum likes to talk about a lot. It may go back to the county extension offices, but the land grant is here to serve the state. What are you guys doing to serve Oklahoma to fulfill that land grant mission?
Well, we are very explicit about our land grant responsibilities within not only the Ferguson College of Agriculture, but the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources. So the division really includes 3 parts. One is the academic programs in the Ferguson College of Agriculture. Another is the Cooperative Extension Service that we talked about earlier. The third is the Agricultural Experiment Station. We've branded it as Oklahoma OSU Ag Research. So that's the research mission. If you think about it, those are the 3 legs of the land grant mission. And if you look at the triangle that goes on the university's literature, it represents those 3 parts: teaching, research, and service or extension. We make it explicit as extension in our case. So our faculty have a very explicit appointment. Every one of them is assigned a certain percent of their responsibilities in teaching, a certain percent in extension, a certain part in research. Now, in most cases, very few of them have all 3 as explicit parts of their mission, but most have at least 2, perhaps teaching and research, or perhaps research and extension. So we're very explicit about that, and what that means then is that the research that we're doing is informed by what our extension educators are telling us about the needs. And then in turn, what we find in that research gets translated back to the people who need that information by our extension staff. And then the research that we're doing also informs what goes on in the classroom. The programs that we're teaching in our majors, the classes that we teach, they're very much informed by the kind of research that our faculty are doing, as well as the research from other land grant institutions.
So that triangle is pretty literal. You can triangulate everything between one or another.
It is, and it ties together, right? It's not 3 parts. It's one part. It's a triangle with 3 sides to it. And so for an individual, we try not to split them 3 ways, but for the organization, that's where we become whole. That's where it becomes an entire triangle, where the research informs the teaching and the extension informs the research and the teaching helps us improve all.
Yeah. You mentioned the majors you guys have over at Ferguson. That reminded me, kind of a misconception I had of the ag school is it's just learning how to be a farmer, but there's ag con, there's ag business. You guys have got a lot of different programs over there. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, we also have biochemistry and molecular biology. Horticulture, of course, you think of as a traditional, but we also have, in the same department, we have landscape architecture, designing things like the formal gardens out here. You know, we have students graduating with those skills, and they are highly sought after by the industry. Animal science, of course, is our largest department in terms of the number of students that we have. Very popular major, and we attract students from across the country to our animal science program. And so, again, it goes back to that culture that's created by the faculty and sustained with support from alumni and donors, and it keeps bringing people back.
If a high school kid is watching this and wants to come to the ag school, where can they go?
Well, they can go to our website. So agriculture.okstate.edu is our college's website. And we have, and from that you can link to the other two parts of it. So extension.okstate.edu is our extension website. agresearch.okstate.edu is our agricultural experiment station site. So we have those available online. We are very out there in recruiting students in the schools. So school, guidance counselors and so on know about us. They know our programs. We try to keep them informed on new opportunities that come up in our college. We also are really deliberate about attending things like the FFA convention here in the state. We also go to Texas and Arizona and Colorado and California FFA conventions. That's a great place for us to recruit. And so students find out about us there, and we capture their name, their email address, and they go into our slate, and we keep them informed about what's going on here. And maybe we're not the right fit for them, but we want to make sure they know about us so they can make the best decision for themselves.
Dr. Coon, thank you for stopping by. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Brody.